Number 12. The Willowbrook Hepatitis Study. Between 1956 and 1970, the Willowbrook State School in New York housed children with intellectual disabilities. It was overcrowded, filthy, and already plagued by disease. Researchers decided to deliberately infect hundreds of these children with hepatitis to study how it spread. Parents were told the study might help protect their kids, but in reality, the children were injected or fed food laced with the virus. The justification? Doctors claimed the children would likely get infected anyway. Many of them suffered intense fevers, liver damage, and lifelong health problems. Even though it led to a better understanding of hepatitis A and B, it came at a horrifying human cost. It remains one of the most unethical medical studies ever conducted in America. Number 11. North Korean Prison Camp Experiments. Defectors from North Korea have spoken of unspeakable human experiments carried out in secret prison camps. Prisoners, men, women, and even children, were reportedly used to test chemical and biological weapons. Families were locked in sealed glass chambers and exposed to poison gas while scientists watched them die. Survivors have described injections, starvation tests, and even forced surgeries. These accounts are difficult to verify due to North Korea's isolation fully, but the stories are consistent across multiple witnesses. If true, these experiments are among the most terrifying human rights violations still happening in modern times, hidden from the world. Number 10. Unit 731, Japan's Nightmare Laboratory. During World War II, the Japanese military established Unit 731 in occupied Manchuria under the direction of General Shiro Ishii. On the surface, it was a research facility. In truth, it was a factory of horror. Prisoners, including Chinese civilians and Allied POWs, were subjected to vivisection, being dissected alive, frostbite experiments, and deliberate infections of plague, cholera, and anthrax. Women were raped to study sexually transmitted diseases. Some were tied to stakes while bombs filled with germs exploded nearby. The data gathered was later traded to the United States after the war in exchange for immunity. The victims never received justice, and Unit 731 remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. Number 9. Nazi experiments at concentration camps. In the Nazi concentration camps, medicine became a mask for torture. Nazi doctors carried out gruesome tests on prisoners, freezing them in ice water to simulate downed pilots in the Arctic, infecting wounds with bacteria, and testing unproven drugs. Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Angel of Death, conducted twin experiments at Auschwitz. He injected dyes into children's eyes to see if he could change their color and performed surgeries without anesthesia. Many victims died or were killed when the experiments ended. These experiments had little to no scientific value. They were pure acts of cruelty under the banner of racial purity. Number 8. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service studied the effects of untreated syphilis in African American men in Tuskegee, Alabama. The 600 participants were told they were receiving free health care. In reality, doctors were observing what would happen if the disease were left untreated. Even after penicillin became known as a cure in the 1940s, researchers withheld it from the men. Over 4 decades, hundreds died slow, painful deaths, and many infected their families. When the truth came out, it caused national outrage and led to strict new laws on medical ethics and patient consent. The Tuskegee study remains one of the most shameful episodes in American medical history. Number 7. Project MKUltra, the CIA's mind control program. In the paranoia of the Cold War, the CIA secretly launched Project MKUltra to develop mind control and interrogation techniques. They tested LSD, hypnosis, electroshock therapy, and sensory deprivation, often without consent. Ordinary citizens, prisoners, and even government employees were unknowingly drugged. One scientist, Frank Olson, died after allegedly being given LSD without his knowledge and falling from a hotel window. MKUltra destroyed countless lives in the name of control and fear. When it was finally exposed in the 1970s, it revealed how easily science can be twisted into psychological warfare. Number 6. The Guatemala Syphilis Experiments. Between 1946 and 1948, U.S. researchers working in Guatemala deliberately infected prisoners, soldiers, and psychiatric patients with syphilis and gonorrhea. They wanted to study whether penicillin could prevent infection after exposure. Most subjects didn't even know they were part of an experiment. Hundreds were infected, many died. It was only uncovered decades later, in 2010, when a historian found the records. The US government publicly apologized, calling it clearly unethical. But for those who suffered, justice came far too late. Number 5. Soviet human experiments. Under Joseph Stalin's brutal rule, the Soviet Union conducted numerous secret experiments on political prisoners. Many were exposed to radiation, nerve gas, sleep deprivation, and psychological torture. The Soviets were obsessed with understanding human endurance, how much pain, fear, or exhaustion a person could take before breaking. Some reports describe attempts to create super soldiers using drug combinations and brain conditioning. Though most evidence is still hidden in classified archives, survivor accounts revealed decades of horror that rivaled any Cold War nightmare. Number 4. The Monster Study. In 1939, psychologist Wendell Johnson at the University of Iowa wanted to see if stuttering was psychological. He tested his theory on 22 orphan children. Half were given positive feedback and encouragement. The other half were criticized harshly, told their speech was bad, and made to feel ashamed every time they spoke. The result was devastating. Several children developed speech anxiety and lifelong stuttering. The psychological scars lasted for decades. Johnson's assistant later called it a mistake born from ignorance, not evil, but for the children, the impact was very real and lasting. Number 3. The Stanford Prison Experiment. In 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo transformed a Stanford University basement into a simulated prison. 24 male students were randomly assigned to play either guards or prisoners. Within days, the guards became abusive, and the prisoners broke down emotionally. The situation spiraled so quickly that Zimbardo had to end the experiment after only 6 days. Though no physical harm occurred, it revealed how ordinary people can become cruel when given unchecked authority. It remains one of psychology's most famous and disturbing lessons about human nature. Number 2. Radiation experiments on civilians. During the Cold War, fear of nuclear fallout drove U.S. researchers to test radiation exposure on unsuspecting civilians. Pregnant women were given radioactive drinks, hospital patients were injected with plutonium, and soldiers were sent near atomic test sites just to see what would happen. These people were told it was medical treatment or training. Many later developed cancer and birth defects. Government documents later confirmed these were deliberate tests to measure radiation's long-term impact on humans. When declassified, it shocked the nation and forced major reforms in research ethics. Number 1. The Holmesburg Prison Experiments. Between the 1950s and 1970s, inmates at Holmesburg Prison in Pennsylvania were used in a series of chemical and pharmaceutical tests. Dermatologist Dr. Albert Kligman exposed prisoners to toxins, cosmetics, and infectious agents. Most participants were poor black men who were told it was safe. In reality, they suffered burns, infections, and scarring. Some experiments tested Agent Orange, others viruses, and some unknown compounds. Kligman later became wealthy from his discoveries in skincare, but the men he used were left scared, physically and mentally. The case became a symbol of how power and poverty can create the perfect setting for exploitation. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into history's darkest and most shocking moments.